just introduce ourselves and our organizations. So, hi, I'm Srishti. I'm from Center for Environment Education. I have been working with the Center for Environment Education for the past 4.5 years. And this year, I have also been starting to being a little more active on Yango, and I'll be the country contact point for India as well. So we can maybe connect later. And I'm also working with other organizations. There's one research project which I'm working on, and again, you can find everything on my LinkedIn. I'm very active there. So I pass it on to Hema, and then we can have some formal PPT where we can talk about our organizations as well.
Okay, hi, this is Hemavati. I'm sorry, my throat is slightly bad, but I'm the founder of Enact. Enact is a baby. It just turned 1 year old in July. So compared to CEE and Brahma Kumaris, it's a very small organization, but I am also a PhD scholar at Delhi University, and I recently also started teaching at Delhi. I do a bunch of things with Yango. I'm part of the policy team, and I'm also the COY liaison this time. So anybody going to COP, maybe I'll see you at Egypt as well. So that's me. Thank you. I'll pass it on to Shan.
Good morning and welcome to everyone. How are you doing? Any issues? Okay, that's good. So my name is Shantanu. I am a volunteer in the Brahma Kumaris, and I have been with the Yango since 2015 when the first LCOY started. And I was the first rapporteur for LCOYs, which happened in Paris. And since then I have been supporting the LCOY and Yango in various capacities. So this year, along with Srishti, I am also the country contact point for India. So we'll be in touch, and those who are not here, but you know them very well, please help us to get in touch with them. And next we'll have the presentations.
I've put together some slides for all of you. I know you are really busy. So just, this event is getting live streamed.
We have a little video also.
Yes. Yeah, just after the introductory session. So just some housekeeping rules for the virtual delegates who already might have joined us. So this is for them. If they want to drop a question, they can drop in the Q&A, and the normal. I think we are all accustomed to these housekeeping rules now. As I think after 2 years of virtual meetings, so we are all there already. So this is the opening session which we are in. There's no formality. You can identify all the team members with these wristbands. You can always come up for any kind of support you need, any emergency situation or anything. If you want to go to a nearby shop, or you're going to the lake and you want to get help with, please let any one of us know. Next. So these are your hosts. We just talked about our organizations and at an individual level as well. Can we go to? So I'm representing Center for Environment Education, who was established as a center of excellence by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. That time it was only Ministry of Environment and Forest. So as you can see, it's older than me and older than many of us. So yes, so that's what also Hema said. So, initially it was established as an organization that could focus on innovative programs, environmental education, so that whatever little we were learning at that point of time could be translated into action. And with the international agreements, with some, I would say, advanced level of environmental education, with education for sustainable development, now climate change education. So now we are trying to translate climate change education into action. So this is one of those events where we try to do that. We work with multi-stakeholders, teachers, youth, children, communities, school children, youth, higher education youth, policy makers, and through different approaches. I'm not getting into the details of that. You can always find it on CEE's website, and you can always connect with some CEE people who are already here. And I already talked about what we do. So over to Enact. Oh, sorry, there was one more slide. So so this is a climate change. So I handle the climate change programs as a program coordinator. So as part of the climate change programs, we have these 4 different approaches. We of course do education and awareness as part of CEE's mandate, but we do a lot of research and documentation. I'll be sharing some snippets as part of my presentation in the second half. We do consultations and events. We are here, we know that already. And then we do some policy work as well as a key stakeholder in the Action for Climate Empowerment domain at UNFCCC, which is actually climate change education at UNFCCC. That also I'll be talking briefly in my presentation. Over to Enact.
There's a video, right? So we can just simply play the video, and then I'll have to speak very little.
No, I thought I'll continue with the climate threat.
So yeah, the video. Just a minute. आकाश भाई, ये lights off कर देंगे क्या? So what you see is just the environmental aspect of what we do. There are various streams where we are working simultaneously: women empowerment, education, health, and so not. But this is just the environmental part of it because we are making sense.
Founded in the year 1936, Brahma Kumaris has activities in more than 110 countries across the globe. With its headquarters located in Mount Abu, Rajasthan, India, the Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University is a socio-spiritual, non-governmental organization, NGO, with affiliations in many UN bodies. It started with affiliations in the year 1980 with the UNDPI, United Nations Department of Public Information, followed by affiliation from ECOSOC, Observer Status in UNFCCC, UNCPD, UNEP, and recently in UNCD, COP and COYs. Brahma Kumaris delegates participate actively in these events for providing spiritual dimensions to decision-making, action planning, and helping to obtain a more holistic approach. Brahma Kumaris is also an active member of Green Interfaith Dialogues. In 2011, Brahma Kumaris and World Renewable Spiritual Trust were recognized by the Ministry of Science and Technology as a scientific and industrial research organization. India One Solar Thermal Power Plant is one of India's largest solar projects with a capacity of 1 megawatt. It is functional since 2017. On an institutional level, Brahma Kumaris are the largest users of solar energy in India. It also stands to be one of the oldest organizations to work with solar energy in the country. The journey with solar energy started long back in 1996 with the installation of modular solar cooking systems. Soon, more research led to the use of solar energy in various activities like water heating, cooking more than 40,000 meals a day, using solar in almost all day-to-day activities. 350 solar photovoltaic battery systems of a total capacity of 1.4 megawatt peak were installed in different branches of the organization. The Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, Government of India, and United Nations Development Programme sponsored an awareness and training center on solar energy in Shantivan campus in 2014. The Brahma Kumaris have shared its best practices with other organizations to equip them with solar power. Sustainable Yogic Agriculture is an ongoing research program in which traditional organic farming with interventions of Raja Yoga meditation is being studied by many agricultural universities in the country. It has been recognized by the Government of India. Tapovan, a 100-acre dedicated farming land, is being used for the research to help farmers deal with growing agricultural issues. For more than 10 years, we have taken care of nearly 20 parks in Mumbai. Our very own Peace Park in Mount Abu is home to thousands of varieties of flowering plants. Our lifestyle, discipline of vegetarianism, is also a way of decreasing our carbon footprint. The Brahma Kumaris Gyan Sarovar Academy for a Better World was presented to Habitat 2, the second United Nations Conference on Human Settlements held in Istanbul, Turkey. It was recognized as part of the Best Practice Initiative for Human Settlements. Our vision is for individuals, governments, and global corporations involved in the environmental decision-making process to root their work in the universal principles and thus bring harmony, clarity, calmness, stability, and power to their thinking and interactions. It is the aim of the Brahma Kumaris to highlight the relationship between our awareness and individuals. We believe that a holistic approach based on peace, cooperation, and love is the key to a sustainable future.
The agricultural project that you just saw, recently UNDP created a case study report for 13 alternative agroecological practices that are happening all across the world that are being studied as an alternate for people to shift into not non-violent form of farming. So our sustainable yogic agriculture is now there. And this is one of the things that we are really passionate about, connecting with people and sharing with them the key mantra for any kind of transformation, because no transformation can happen without an understanding that starts from within. I can tell you, read, 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 but if it is not from inside, you would not study at all. So similarly, if the transformation starts from within, it is easy for us to follow anything outside. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. And yeah, so she wants to speak at the last, so she'll rest her throat a little bit by then. So just very quickly, before going there, I wanted to just introduce our team जिन्होंने बहुत मेहनत की है सबको यहाँ लाने की. So I'll just want to quickly introduce Shruti, Meet, Dipanshu, Anagha, Santhya also at somewhere. Where is she? Santhya. I don't know if Bhuvana is here till as yet. और कोई बच रहा है? Lovish is yet to join, but I just wanted to tell you that हम सब ने बहुत मेहनत की है so that you could come here and relax yourself. So please, for the team, I just wanted to have a round of applause. Okay. So what brings us all here? This brings us all here. So I'm just stepping into the technical bits of why we are all here. I'm not getting into the details. We are already having Hema facilitate the workshop next. So I don't know if I need to speak on this or I don't need to speak on this, but I leave up to you. But yes, we are all here to contribute our best in the fight against climate change, which is going to affect each one of us at some level. And my theory is that it's going to affect everyone, but at different times, because the vulnerable communities would be affected the most, then someone, then global south, then so there's just only the timing which will be different. So then I wanted to talk about this a little bit on the local conference of youth. I'll just stand. I'm not comfortable sitting and talking. So yeah. So yes, the local conference of youth about the platform. So this is a project of Yango, which is the official children and youth constituency of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And these are local events. These are generally so there is a COY, which I think Hema will talk about later, and she has already talked about a little bit, the Conference of Youth, which happens just before COP. This year also it's going to happen in the same venue where COP is. I mean, same venue as in the city, same city as the COP27. But the focus is regional and national. So the model is that, the LCOYs happen in different countries. There's India, Bolivia, USA is just starting today, and there are many. This time there are, I think, what I know of, there are about 70 plus LCOYs. 80 LCOYs happening all over the world. So there are 80 countries who will be having these local conferences of youth, and they'll have their national, regional focuses, and they'll bring in recommendations through meeting young people in their own country. And also there are regional conferences of youth also happening. And all these recommendations will be then compiled into then will feed into the Conference of Youth. So all these outcome statements from all these countries will feed into the Conference of Youth, the Global Youth Statement, which will be developed. And these then will be submitted to the COP presidency. So this is the model of LCOY. And so that's what they say, to get some success here at the climate policy level. We need to work here and here. So everyone's contribution is very, very important. Next. So it's an event for the youth, of the youth, by the youth. We are all youth here who are going to work on climate change. Yes, I have introduced we have introduced all our organizations, but we are going to contribute at an individual level as well. So this is a very open space. Please feel free to contribute, learn, share, raise your voices, interact, be friends, or whatever. But it's a very open space. Don't think कि हम बोल नहीं सकते, या you know, I mean, you don't put yourself in a situation कि we are only participants. We are all collaborators. We are all going to be collaborators in developing that outcome statement. So that's what I wanted to say. And the objective is to educate, because we are all not at the same level when it comes to climate information knowledge and conceptual knowledge of climate change. So today's session would be more on capacity building and networking, so that we could get relevant information on climate change, the policy structure, and of course get to know each other a lot. So it will have it will be more education focused today. Of course, equip youth with the tools which we will be providing over the next 3 days, so that they can raise their voices at some other place for some other issue which they feel very connected with. And then of course, empowerment is one of the objectives of the event. So the LCOY journeys so far, I merged our 2 journeys here. So CEE and Brahma Kumaris have been actually hosting LCOY since 2015. So there are different thematic focuses which we have mentioned. 2015 it was more on awareness, 2016 it was mostly policy brief development, 2017 it was more on action, 2018 was youth for climate action, 2019 and 2020 when Brahma Kumaris was hosting it, it was again on climate action, and 2020 was on restoring nature. And the last 2021, which happened virtually, was on ecosystem restoration in line with the UN decade on ecosystem restoration. There are so many different outcomes which had come out of the previous LCOYs. I've just put the titles together. I mean, just to look at the landscape of recommendations which had come from those LCOYs, right from climate justice to communicating to lowering climate footprint, lifestyles, research, and everything. I mean, we know that, and I hope, I don't know, this would be expanding, or it would go deeper into these themes over the next 3 days, but let's see what we have. So this year's LCOY is going to focus on youth perspectives for adaptation and loss and damage, so which are very critical issues for India. And we have Srijani, I don't know where is she. Okay, I can't see her right now. But Srijani is going to talk about it more on the adaptation and loss and damage bit, and also giving context about India and also what's happening at the UNFCCC under these 2 themes. Next. We have our partners. We have MICA, Maha Youth for Climate Action, which is a joint initiative of UNICEF and CEE, specifically for Maharashtra youth, and they are putting their advocacy efforts forward via youth engagement, and we'll be interacting during the networking session. We have UNICEF India, who is our major funder for this event. Then we have the Climate Reality Project. The representative of the Climate Reality Project couldn't come because he's down with dengue, but I hope you could connect with him over other platforms. His name is Shivam, but he couldn't make it to the event. We have Restless Development. We have 2 representatives from Restless Development, and can you just raise your hand, please? Okay, those are the 2 people. Okay, Micah also. Priyanka, can you just raise your hand? She's the one who looks after Micah from the UNICEF Maharashtra side. She is from UNICEF Maharashtra. There is Nidin from UNICEF India. Can you just raise your hand, please? You're just smiling. And then there is Climate Fresk, which Hema will talk about very soon. So that's my life slide. Let's share, learn, and contribute so that we can have more young people talk about climate crisis. We can strengthen these local networks, create new groups to fight this to fight this something together, to fight climate change together, and make our voices heard through the structure I have shown at the highest level. So let's keep contributing. And this is, again, I'm saying it's a very open space. Please don't think it is going to be a monologue. You'll all have to speak at some level. I'm telling you that by the end of the LCOY. So be prepared. Over to Enact. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Agenda. Very quickly. So see, we have made this presentation yesterday only, so I don't remember. Okay, so please bear with me. So agenda, as I told you, that we'll be focusing more on the capacity building side today. So we are already doing the opening, and Climate Fresh workshop will be led by Hema. Then we have some refresher, lunch break and all that, and then we'll have we have UNFCCC overview and role of Youngo and education by Hita, who will be joining us around 11:30, 12. She'll just be coming by train, so she's a bit late. But then we'll have adaptation, loss and damage at UNFCCC by Srijani. Then we have this whole networking session planned in the second half of the second half. So we'll meet more people, we'll call more people to introduce themselves. They can share their stories, they can share about their organizations, initiatives and all that. Agenda for day 2 would be more of a thematic session. We'll go deeper into the adaptation and loss and damage topics, and we will have thematic breakout sessions where everyone, there will be facilitators, co-facilitators, and everyone will be talking more on the thematic side of, we have 4 different breakouts. We'll be talking about water and agriculture, entrepreneurship, innovations, and many others. Our team will take it ahead. And there's one session on youth participation for sustainable future by CEW. And then we'll have a field visit, very exciting field visit where you will be able to see examples of forest resilience, conservation, and climate smart agriculture. And the third day again would be all about developing policy recommendations for the India Youth Statement. So again, it will have breakout sessions where you'll have to give policy input. So you'll have to be prepared for the first 2 days. You'll have to prepare yourself so that you can give your recommendations on the third day. So please be very active. And then we will have some open discussions as well in the second half of the third day. Then we have a small competition, elevator pitch, or you can say elocution during the closing of the conference. And then we'll have some interesting activity which we are not going to disclose right now as a closing of local conference of youth. Thank you, I spoke a lot, but now I have to give it to Hema. Over to you.
Okay, you've heard about CEE and Brahma Kumaris. They have a long history. I was just telling Shantanu, Brahma Kumaris is like probably a grandparent, and CEE is like, parent. I have nothing to show for Enact, but I'll probably just quickly share the hopes that Enact does, especially, as you all know, conference of parties and the negotiations happen. It all happens by adults. And they're all negotiating about our future, right? And we have no stake whatsoever in those negotiation or decision-making processes. Like India committed to net zero 2070. How many of you think our leaders, how many of your leaders do you think will be alive by then? It's ultimately going to be us who are going to implement the policies that are decided by the adults, right? So that is why I personally felt youth empowerment is so important, and youth being stakeholders in this decision-making process and these conversations. So Enact primarily focuses on that, but the aim or the very important goal of Enact is to create something called a climate literate society. Okay, it's literacy is not just about getting a formal education, but it is about, say, street vendors understanding how climate change impacts them, or waste workers understanding how climate change impacts them, or even board of directors of multi-million-dollar companies understanding how climate change impacts. Education becomes crucial, literacy becomes crucial, and when there's something called actionable awareness, then people internalize the issues of climate change and then they tend to take action. So that's what Enact is aiming for. And right now, we hope to, work with the youth primarily. I have Santhya here. Enact, even I work for Enact part time, okay, honestly speaking. But, we do these, take part in these stuff which are like very small but very impactful. Recently, we made a submission to the UN Office of High Commissioner of Human Rights. Okay, we made a submission on loss and damage. It is actually published on the UN website, one of the very few youth statements that got published. So we do these little things, but we hope that it encourages more people to speak up, even at the UN level, and be the change that we all want to see in others and make that happen. And Enact is a community at the moment. Like, people just come in, work for Enact, and nobody is ever forced to be a representative of Enact. Like, it warms my heart when I've never asked Santhya to like be part of Enact, but then she comes in and she says, I'm part of Enact. So people own up to, they want to be a representative. And that's what I hope Enact is. Like, people actually come and say, I want to be a part of Enact, and I am a part of Enact. And that's what I hope to achieve in the next 5 years, maybe. And that's me. I'll stop about Enact and I'll probably go to our partner, Climate Press. They graciously funded us as well. Climate Fresk is a French-based NGO, and there was this professor. His name is Cedric Ragenbach. He was teaching his students climate science, and you've all heard of IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. You all know how long those reports are. They're about like 1,000 pages. Would you all be interested in reading that? Even if you're given money, you'll probably say no, right? So what he did was he came up with a methodology, a fun interactive workshop to help you learn about the causes and consequences of climate change. So it's like a two-hour workshop, but then we also delve into some aspects beyond science, because a lot of us, I'm sure you all have your own personal climate journey, right? And most of the time, you don't have people to talk to about it, because climate journeys can be very lonely, right? So we also focus on us being able to share our emotions as to how we feel about climate change ultimately, and recognize and acknowledge the fact that we are not alone in this journey. And the thing about climate change is, you don't need 100 people doing things perfectly. We need tens of millions of people doing imperfect things and making their own level of contribution to climate change. So we'll all be divided into like groups of 8. Okay, we'll just go down to the room below, and then you'll all be sitting on ground. You have chart papers, you'll be given cards, you'll all be discussing. Now, Climate Fresk works on this concept called collective intelligence, which means it does not assume somebody is superior, intellectually superior, and somebody is intellectually inferior. So collective intelligence is where everybody who's a part of that table will share their own perspectives about climate change. Nobody is right or wrong, but then you'll all put your brains together and create a collage trying to understand climate science itself, because all the information through the workshop is based on the IPCC reports. But this is like very, very simplified aspect of climate science. Okay, shall we head down?
Just one thing, be very mindful of the people that you are being in that group with. I might know 10 things, but I also have to let her speak the one thing she knows, right? So just be very mindful with the group, because we are going to stay with each other for 3 days to begin with, but maybe 30 years from now onwards, right? So this is a good space to network in a way how we can show the world that this is how you should have networked 30 years back. Then we would have not come here probably. So this is just one little request. And if you have any issues, अगर मान लो आपको information समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, या if there is something that you want to talk about, you are comfortable in some language, be free to speak in that language. हम इसलिए इंग्लिश में ज़्यादा बोल रहे हैं because it is going online and there are many people from the south who specifically want this assistance and even here also. But अगर आपको कहीं पर भी लगता है कि नो ये आप हमको repeat करो, हमको ये समझना है फिर से, we are happy to share it in Hindi at least.
ना बोल रही है. She's saying no language. English also she's not saying. English, okay. No, we have actually quite a few languages in the room. I can speak Gujarati. So Gujarati also we have some people. Marathi, of course, we have a huge chunk of youth delegates who have come, MICA delegates especially. So Priyanka, and there will be two more colleagues from CE who are joining who can speak Marathi. South, see, I am very bad at languages, so please excuse me. But Kannada, Malayalam probably and many other languages. So please just request कि हाँ हमको इस language में आप समझा दो. Just you have to speak if you want to get your things done. If you want to understand, you will have to speak कि मुझे दूसरे language में समझाओ. That at least you will have to do. At least start from that point. Okay, so जब तक मैं हूँ, I will not let anyone sit in the corner and be silent. I'm telling you, I'll like bring it to you and then I'll give you the mic. I'm telling you if you are not speaking anything. So I understand this is just an introductory session, but आगे जाके but language is not a barrier. बहुत सारे लोग हैं जिनको multiple in the room जिनको different languages आती हैं. But please reach out to them.
Thank you. Let's all go down. Okay, you wanna? See, ideally, I want no groups with all boys and all girls. That's all. It's as simple as that. Try to just. Do you all want to just group based on various things? Random. 8 in one field.
Nothing else. Okay, so this is the best randomizer which I have in my mind. So it works out best. So 8 लोगों का group बनाना है. 8 people. हाँ, you start. 8 people का group बनाना है. So we will just say a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. फिर 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8. All ones are going to be together. All twos are going to be together. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And ऐसे करके करना है. Okay, understood? 1. बोलो आप. याद रखना अपना अपना नंबर. No cheating. तेज से बोलिए. आप नहीं होंगे. 8 हो गया. आप भी नहीं.